You are listening to The Real Men Feel Show with your hosts Andy Grant and Appio Hunter. Real Men Feel encourages men to allow and express all of their emotions. Despite what you may have been taught, all emotions do serve you. Real Men Feel is committed to engaging in discussions that most men aren't having, but you don't need to be a man to join us. The Real Men Feel Show is produced live each Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern for your growth and enjoyment. Listen to us on podcast platforms including iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. You can also watch the show on YouTube by visiting realmenfeel.org/YouTube. Come back often and feel free to add the podcast to your favorite RSS feed or subscribe on iTunes by visiting realmenfeel.org/iTunes. You can follow us on Twitter at realmenfeelorg and on Facebook, facebook.com/realmenfeelshow. All links mentioned in each episode are in the show notes found on the blog at realmenfeel.org. Show your support for Real Men Feel by shopping at realmenfeel.org/swag, by visiting digitaltipjar.com/realmenfeel, or even text us a tip. You can show some love for Real Men Feel by texting Real Men Feel, that's all one word, to 504-226-5306. You'll receive a link back to complete your tip and choose the amount. This is a weekly program, and your reviews, comments, feedback, and participation are welcome during the live show and anytime in our Facebook group, on Twitter, or at realmenfeel.org. Now, let's dive into this week's show.
Hello and welcome to Real Men Feel. This is Andy Grant, your wonderful, joyous, manly host. I'm flying solo tonight. Appio Hunter, I usually say, and joining me as always is Appio Hunter. I can no longer say that because he is not joining us tonight. He has some work requirements that are keeping him away from the show, but I'm sure he sends his love and good wishes to all listening. And tonight itself is actually going to be kind of an experimental show, I'll say, because our guest is one of the guys from our private Facebook group. So on Facebook, there's a public page all about the show that has the events on it. And we also have a private group where there's about 150 men. Actually, there's 150 men and women. We do have a few women in there that are supportive of men getting in touch with themselves and feeling and all those good things. But tonight we have one of the guys on to talk about his experience in the group and with me, because the genesis of this show is in December, just last month. December feels like a long time ago, but it's just last month still. I shared a video to the group, and it was a video by these young guys. They call themselves the Try Guys, TRY. And I had shared a video before when I first, they had done a video about, I think, men body shame, and they got photoshopped and went to a whole modeling thing, and I thought it was really good. That's the first time I heard them. I put it in the group, and there was a good response. Anyway, this video was called "The Try Guys Try Sexy Alcoholic Drinks," and I watched it and I kind of giggled, so I put it in the group and I said, if you need a shot of fun and idiocy, try this. And before I did it, I was hesitant, because normally I don't just share jokes, I don't share just silly things in the group, but I think that was the reason. But for whatever reason, I did have this hesitancy about this video, and well, maybe this doesn't belong, and I figured, well, what's the worst can happen? Nobody likes it. That's the worst that could happen. So I put it in the group, and I think it was just within maybe 10 minutes, the first comment showed up under the video, and I got a notification. I went to see what it was, and the first comment is, "This is disgusting. I'm leaving the group." And I was horrified. Because I was hesitant, first of all, and because it was a name I didn't recognize. I think this was the first comment by a gentleman in the group, and I was just again, I was horrified and bummed and disappointed that his first contribution, so to speak, to the group was telling me that he was leaving. So I noticed he really hadn't left yet. He didn't say that and immediately run away. So via the comments, I wrote back saying, how about joining me on an episode of Real Men Feel in 2018 to talk about this? And he agreed. So without further ado, let's unveil the man of the hour, who's not joining us with a camera. I just want to point that out. He's only here with audio. But please welcome Mr. Steve Boyer from Columbus, Ohio.
Good evening.
It's a pleasure to have you here, Steve. And so did that summation of what happened, does that sound familiar to you?
That was pretty close. I just want to say I didn't even notice that you, the moderator, had posted that, so it was not like, oh, I'm gonna get Andy on this one. So
Oh, so
don't take it too personally.
So you were really reacting to the video itself.
That's right. Yep.
Okay, great. Do you remember what about that did offend you so much?
I think as I've thought about it since then, maybe discussing wouldn't have been the correct word. The thing that bothered me the most, I guess, was I like Facebook. I spend a lot of time on Facebook. It's a great way to keep up with your friends, and I learn a lot from Facebook. So when people say bad things against Facebook, I take it personally. And when I saw that, to me, that only adds, or that only confirms what so many people would say about all the bad things on Facebook. So it was more of, Facebook is not the place for something like this to me. And I'm a part of a lot of other men's groups, and I don't see those kind of things in those other men's groups. So I think that was the big thing. It was just, this is not the place for that. I think there are other groups. There probably are groups on Facebook that share that kind of stuff, but that was really the offensive part of it, I guess, to me.
Oh, so all right, good. So that kind of matches my own hesitancy about, boy, is this the best place for this? So you didn't find it funny, and you just thought, did it kind of like belittle the seriousness of a men's group, or can you get more specific? Do you remember?
I guess it's just that it feeds the stereotype that we're just a bunch of animals, and all we can think about is sex and how we can distort it. So to me, that was kind of the thing. So
cool. All right. Well, so I love that. You're like, wow, I wish you could have, had the pause to like enter that. That would have might trigger this whole really cool conversation in a moment.
I guess my emotions got the best of me at that point, and I said, I'm through with this. And so
cool. And let's see, is that common for you, or is this kind of a rare occasion just be like, oh, and this has upset me, I'm leaving?
I think it's more of a rare occasion. I mean, lots of my friends post things that I don't agree with, and that's fine. But I think there's this, I want Facebook to be more family friendly, and if I looked at that and enjoyed that, then I kind of would be embarrassed, I guess, in front of all my friends if they knew that was what I thought of. That's what I use Facebook for, was to look at that kind of stuff. So.
Okay, interesting, cool. So, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was the first time I recall seeing your name. Was that the first time that you had interacted in that group at all?
Yep. One and only time.
So you haven't even since, right?
I haven't since. I really thought I had disconnected from the group, and I saw back on there. Then after you contacted me, I thought, well, I'll just leave it on, and we'll see what happens. So.
Oh, it's interesting, because I was going to ask what, you said I'm leaving, and why didn't? So you thought you had? You thought you
I thought I had, yeah. And I thought, well, maybe you put me back on after we agreed to discuss it further. So.
Nope, because again, my reaction was like, because we weren't friends. I did not know you. The group started with mostly people I knew, but now it's grown to the point, I mean, it's probably half and half of men I actually know, okay, and other guys that have discovered the show and just have joined the group themselves. I'd never just add people to it.
Okay.
But so yeah, so that's really interesting, because I was really like, part of me wanted to give some snarky response. Part of me wanted to probably jump in the bad stereotype of Facebook and I don't know, not get in your face, but yeah, just be snarky, like protect it was to be my protection, right? Because instead of admitting, oh, I'm an idiot, I thought about not putting this, and now I've gone too far, and part of me wanted to apologize, and part of me wanted to pretend I didn't need to apologize, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I expected. I expected someone to jump on me being a prude or something. So I was really surprised when you called and said, "Hey, you want to join our podcast?" So
yeah, because again, that's why the show is really about upsets and reactions and assumptions, because it was neat. So I really stepped back and like, wait, what am I feeling? and what triggered him, and now it's triggering me. And I said, well, how can I stop all this triggering? And that's when I said, you know what? And I asked I replied to your original comment saying that you were leaving, and I asked, would you be willing to come on the show and talk about this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you said, okay. And that shocked me. It really did.
Well, I had to think a lot about it, and I thought, I just can't believe he wanted me on his show after I said that. But
yeah, again, because it's, and I think we talked briefly to make sure that you did want to be on the show, and we met on Zoom here, and I just show you how things worked, and that might have been 5 or 10 minutes, I think.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, so I think I asked you then, had you listened to an episode?
I don't know if I'd listened to any up to that point.
Okay.
And then I listened to several. I listened to several since then.
Okay.
Just to get a feel, so I would have some idea how this was going to go.
All right. Well, then let me ask the dangerous question. What did you think of the show?
Well, it was interesting. It was very good. You and Appio have a very good rapport, so the banter back and forth went well. So I knew we weren't going to lack for conversation with you two, and I'm not a great conversationalist, so we may not last more than 10 minutes here. But
well, I think we've already hit that mark. So
we hit it. Oh,
yeah, well, you're doing fantastic, Steve. Don't worry about it.
I feel relieved then.
You've hit your quota of conversation for the night.
Yep.
Cool. So you didn't know the show. You did say that you're a member of a number of other men's groups. So how did you find this one, or what prompted you to join this one?
Probably because when you're in one group, then Facebook is always recommending, well, here's a group similar to this. So that's probably how I saw this group, I'm guessing.
Oh, cool.
I don't remember a recommendation or anything. I think it just popped up one time.
Cool. Because I know at when I first made it, it was public, and then I made it closed to make it more of a safe space where guys could share whatever was going on with them. So, and I'm not sure if Facebook would recommend private, but I know it was public at one point. So maybe that is how it happened.
No, I think they do, because there have been several that I've looked at, and it's hard to know what you're really getting into if you can't see like some of the posts and stuff. So
yeah,
but they do recommend ones that are closed, and you only have to go on what's the tag that they assign to their own group. Gotcha.
Cool. Well, so I was about to say it earlier. So why I wanted you on, and why I kind of wanted to risk airing, the group's dirty laundry, so to speak, is that I do my best to live my life, and I do the best to have this show model what it says: real men feel. And it's not about real men feel happy, real men feel loving, real men feel open and appreciative. It's not like I don't fill the rest. Like, just men feel. So you were feeling something, and I was feeling something. So I said, oh, let's take this to the show. Let's somehow make a show out of this. So I appreciate your bravery. First, in even responding, because you could have just, I'm sure lots of times people, oh, that disgusts me, that offends me, I don't like this, and they just leave. You could have just left without saying anything.
Yeah.
So I love that your first comment was that you were leaving, and that you thought you had left, but you didn't. And then again, when I did invite you to come, let's talk about this, you said yes. So I in all seriousness, I want to honor that and just acknowledge you that, in my meaningless definition of things, you are a real man. All right.
That's one of the things I've discovered. Really, that was the thing. I joined so many men's group, was I wanted to actually once, and since then I've learned every guy, it seems like, has doubts about whether he really measures up.
Yeah.
And I joined all these groups, and I hear all these guys ask questions, and they don't even know what masculinity means. And I thought, wow, I don't feel so bad about myself after all, because all guys have questions. So
yeah, it is true. So you're in lots of, and so you're just seeing kind of the same themes and questions in all the different groups you're in.
Yeah. They all struggle. One of the coolest ones I saw, and I forget which group it was somebody asked a question, what's the least manly thing you do? And you would not believe the stuff. I mean, guys talk about knitting and getting pedicures and manicures and all this stuff. And it was like, it was the coolest thing because I thought, you know, manhood is, or masculinity is, there is no exact definition, and it's you know, it's
Yeah. So do you have a working definition? Do you have something that you kind of live by default or anything? Or
I think just being an honorable person, a man of your word, doing what you say you'll do, to me is what really makes makes someone masculine.
Mm.
It's not about the activities or the things you like. It's just being an honest, decent person to me.
Cool.
How about you?
Yeah. So I used to think like this whole show started because I was asked to give a presentation and I called it "What to Be a Man." What does it mean?
Uh-huh.
And inviting people to look at their definition. And if you're living a definition of masculinity and doesn't feel good, you can change it, right? It's up to each of us. And especially if you were taught a version of masculinity by someone who did not enjoy their life, like throw that away. Why follow that?
Mm-hmm.
But now, doing this work, doing the show, working with men, being a coach, I come to say masculinity is anything that any man does.
Right.
Right, because you're a man.
You're masculine by your genetics.
But beyond that, like regardless of genetics, you have masculine energy, right? There's something deeper within you, and and perhaps it's an aspect of masculinity that makes us all question: am I masculine enough, or what does it mean? Right? Maybe that questioning is a characteristic of masculinity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and exploring what does it mean, that's where the title of this program came. I was just thinking, like, in my view, wouldn't it be awesome if a real man was considered someone who felt, right? That real men had emotions, and I just say if real men had integrity and honesty and kept their word, and just over the time, like, actually, just I can drop the real, right? Because just men are men,
Right.
and yeah, so that's where I come from to it all. But so have you kind of questioned what does it mean to be a man for most of your life, or is this kind of a recent inquiry? Or
No, I think it's always been an issue I've struggled with, and I think it's become, as I've gotten older, I'm 61, and you would think I would have all the answers, but I think as I get older, I guess I think more about those kind of things, and those become more important to me than when you're younger. You just charge into it head first and not think too much about what's really happening in life. But as I've gotten older, I tend to be more reflective, I guess.
So do you think both of those, or either of those, kind of reflect society's view on what it means to be a man?
I don't know what you mean.
Like, well, you said when you're younger, you just kind of charge into it. I'm like, oh, is that, say, society? Oh, you're a young man, you're wild and crazy, you just don't think and just jump into stuff. That's what we're supposed to do in some respect.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think you don't as when you're younger, you're not questioned so much about those kind of things. But as you get older, I don't know, maybe people expect that more of you, but I don't know.
It could be as men age and look older and perhaps more distinguished. Does you're supposed to have wisdom. So now when you could just be like quietly thinking to yourself and people think you're having some great thought you're about to share.
Yeah, it's expected of you. So like now, used to be I was always the youngest one in every group I went in, but now I seem to be the oldest one in every group I'm in. I don't know how the transition happened so quickly. And gosh. And now people look at me differently, I think, as I'm older. So
yeah, they look to you as a natural leader in this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So then you've been how have you been involved in men's work? I'll call it. It sounds like it predates Facebook.
Right. I have been probably through my church. I'm one of the leaders of our men's group. And so that was probably the thing that really got me most started to think about it, because that's the thing we talk about there a lot. We talk about, of course, we're thinking of it in biblical terms, is what does a biblical man look like? And I think that's the same across most lines, because everyone wants to figure out what does being a man look like.
So when did you start leading that church group?
I've been leading it now for 3 years. I've been a part of it for 7 years, but 3 years ago, me and another guy, we lead together the group. So
Cool. And was there kind of an initial inquiry or confusion that brought you into it, just beyond what does it mean to be a man? Or
what got me started going in the group, you
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, I think it's just everyone wants camaraderie and everyone wants friendship. Everyone wants their wolf pack. And so that was, I think, the motivation for me to get involved in the group once I first joined that church. So just to be a part of something with other guys.
So was that sort of community of men? Is that something you had at younger ages, or is that something that was always missing in your life?
No, I would say that since I've been going to this church now, which has been 6 years, and then being a part of this men's group for, I had said 7 years earlier, that was wrong. I've been part of the group for 5 years. But no, I would say I have more male friends now than I've ever had any time in my life. Maybe not when I was in school, but any time in my adult life, I would say I have more male friends now. So it's been really good. I'm
Cool.
very, very fortunate.
And it sounds like your male friends are people that are in these groups as well, so they're kind of more introspective men than perhaps the average.
Right.
Cool.
And we're all working towards a biblical manhood. We're all working towards the same goal, so we have that common objective.
So you kind of said biblical manhood, but it was same across all lines. But could you kind of help me if there's a difference between a biblical man versus an American man or a modern man? Or
No, I wasn't trying to draw a distinction. I was just saying, I was going back to our earlier discussion about everyone questions what manhood is. And, just as, people in the secular world question manhood, so do we in the church. We question what real manhood is. So it's not different.
Okay,
I wasn't trying to make a difference.
Gotcha. So it's so yeah, the question and the answers are the same. It's just where do you kind of look for information that's different?
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
All right. Cool. Because I'm trying to. It's been a long time since I read the Bible, and I don't recall that there was ever a chapter called "How to Be a Man." So maybe that's one of the lost verses
One
somewhere.
of those lost books they're always talking about, but no, I think it's still, like I said earlier, I think it's someone who's honorable and honest, a decent person, and that's the gist of the whole Bible is how to be an honest, decent person. Full example that Jesus made for all of us. So,
and so you said all of us. So So if an honorable, honest, decent person equals a man, can an honorable, honest, decent person be a woman too, or would they have a different kind of?
No, I don't think they would be any different. No.
Yeah, okay. 'Cause that's what I find often when I'm talking with guys. It really comes down to being human.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So is there anything about your background or upbringing you want to share with this audience that has no idea who you are, including me?
Well, I don't know if we want to go that way or not, but
it's entirely up to you. As I said before we rolled, like I'm just going to ask questions, and if you don't want to go somewhere, it's the lines are up to you.
Okay. Well, I'll take a chance here.
Okay.
One of the reasons that I guess I questioned my manhood so much was I was involved in the gay lifestyle for 13 years. And so I tried that and found that didn't make me happy. I didn't find Mr. Right. And so that drove me back to my faith. And in doing that, along with pursuing my faith, and I also wanted a better understanding about my being manly, because part for me personally, the reason I struggled with being gay was I think I don't really view myself as being manly. And so I tried to get that from being with another guy. I'm sure you haven't done much research into it, but that's often the thing. So many of us who try the gay lifestyle are doing it because we feel like we've missed something, and we think if we're with another guy, that's going to complete us. That's going to make us more manly, and it just doesn't work that way.
So as opposed to feeling an attraction to men, you felt like more that there was something missing in your manliness, so you tried to get it from other men in that way.
That's it exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I had never heard that.
Okay.
So that's interesting. So was that as an adult or more in your teens and 20s? Where was that 13-year period?
The 13-year period was, I was a late bloomer. It wasn't until like I was almost 30 years old, I think, kind of, when I started that. I had become a Christian when I was 17 years old, and right away I realized there was a struggle between my faith and homosexuality, but I just kind of threw myself into my faith. But I always had that doubt that I thought I missed out on something. I wanted to try it. So I slowly walked away from my faith and started walking towards that gay lifestyle. And I did that for 13 years. And one day it hit me. I said, this is not making me happy. This is not working. And so I came back to my faith. That was like 22 years ago now.
And those 22 years have been happier for you?
Oh, yes. I feel really fortunate. God has directed my path to a church who understands my struggle. These guys that are part of the men's group, I've told them my story. They don't see me as any different than anyone else. And all the pastors on staff know my story. So it's been really a great experience for me. I feel very blessed.
Yeah. How powerful, how frightened were you to share that story initially?
That's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, was to share that with someone, because unfortunately, the church has done a really bad job of reacting to people who struggle with homosexuality. And so I never knew any time that I shared it with anyone in the church how they were going to react. But I have to say I've been extremely fortunate of the now, couple hundred people probably I've told this to in front of groups and things, and I can only remember one guy who reacted negatively. So, as I said, I feel very fortunate.
Cool. Yeah, that's so my men's group, I've led men's groups just kind of on my own and based on the show, and I've also been part of groups with the Mankind Project, and I never realized the power of a group of just men, and you sharing something from your heart that you were afraid of, and having everybody just stay there. Nobody gets up and walks out on you. Like
Yeah.
How powerful an experience that is.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah. Especially if you feel some sort of deficit from growing up. Oftentimes, we look to a father figure, and that's always our dad, but we're always looking to a father figure for affirmation. I know I'm going to miss one of the A's. There are 3 A's. Acceptance, affirmation, and I can't think of the other one. So when you can get into a men's group and you feel that from these guys, man, that just pushes all the buttons that you missed, that guys often miss growing up.
Yeah. Cool. Well, again, I want to commend your bravery. And it's always interesting to me to find a guy who in his life, in his actions, in his experiences, has been courageous and brave and just pushing past comfort zones, and then still, am I manly enough still? And you see it too, as you said. You see all this, and all the different groups you're in. Every guy is still like, but am I enough of a guy? Am I the right guy? Am I this?
Yep.
Am I that? Yeah. So
which makes you feel even better, because now well, I question, so what's wrong with me? But everybody else questions too,
Right.
every other guy. So
Yeah. So yeah, I tell you, I think I'm gonna put this in the old definition, add to it. Like, being a man means you doubt whether you're a man or not. That's one way to go. Yeah, it's so common. If I don't if I come across someone that says they never thought that, I just think they haven't had the courage yet to admit it.
yeah, no, I
Yeah.
think they're just putting on a front.
Yeah.
They're just trying to beat their chest. Well, I'm a man, and because I say I am.
Yeah. And it's often because I don't feel, and because I don't share,
Yeah,
and because I don't need to go to some group of men. I don't need anyone's support. And
yeah,
it's that distorted, uh, that individualized, I can do it alone. And, I think that's a huge part of why the suicide rate for men keeps going up. And, it used to be just the extremes got the attention, and like goes teenage suicide or elderly suicide, and kind of everyone in the middle is fine. But now it's middle-aged men have the highest suicide rate. And yeah, it's because we all have doubts, we all have questions,
yeah,
but only some of us do something positive about that by sharing it or asking for help, looking for support.
yeah, yeah.
So again, I'm glad you've. Do you where you live and go to church now? Is this where you grew up?
No, I live in Columbus now. I actually grew up in Lancaster, Ohio, which is about an hour southeast of Columbus. I moved to Columbus 30 years ago or so, I think it was. So
Cool. But you've been born and bred in Ohio.
yes, yes.
Wow. And so, is there anything else from your experience? Boy, your experience of leaving the faith, coming back to it with the men's group, with Facebook groups. Any pearls of wisdom as the leader, as the gentleman of men, as the grandfatherly figure? Is there anything else you want to share while we have the time with you?
The only thing, probably the one thing that I have found out most was those guys that you see, or at least that I saw, that I thought, man, that guy's got it together. He's so manly. He's so cool. He's this, he's that. But once you get to know them, they got just as many issues as you do. You know, that old, what's the, all men are created equal? And that's true. Everybody's got struggles and stuff in their lives, and nobody's the perfect dude who has his stuff together.
I've never heard all men are created equal in terms of kind of detriments or issues before. So that's really cool. I like that.
No, I've found that to be true. I've never met I've met a guy who's just like blows me out of the water because he's got all his stuff, all his ducks in a row.
Yeah.
They all got stuff. We all got stuff.
Yeah. And even the guys that can look at, you talk to them further and you might find out, oh, they've been working on it for 40 years to be able to carry themselves like they have it all. But yeah, that's the biggest lie we all have is that we've got it all figured out.
Yeah.
And the harder someone insists on that act, I find the more troubled and painful their life experience is.
Yeah. Even one of the men's group that I'm in, and the leader or the moderator of the group, he seems like this tough guy, and he's always talking about how to increase your testosterone and do all this stuff. And the other day he was admitting, what days he was talking about? He had questions about whether he measured up or something. And I said, dude, you're leading the men's group. You're supposed to be the example, and you got just as many questions as the rest of us. So it made me feel better too.
Yeah, good. I mean, what's the old saying? Teach what you want to know more about.
Yeah.
So if you question whether you're a man or not, go form a men's group, right? You'll find out that, hey, I'm doing all right.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
Awesome. Cool. Well, let's see. I'll ask one last question since you brought it up.
Okay.
What's the least manly thing that you do?
Wow. I should have had an answer after listening to all those ones from the guys. Gosh. I like to watch cooking shows. I guess that's my least manly thing.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Because I do. I don't. That doesn't even that didn't even cross my mind as manly or not. That's funny.
Okay.
Yeah, like how many chefs, how many top people are men, right?
So what? Other than watching cooking shows, what's your least manly thing you do?
What's the least manly? Boy, I could. Well, again, depending on when my definition is made, because kind of the easiest one would you say, I cry often. I'm not afraid to cry and be felt that way, but I don't want to even say that that's not manly.
Okay.
So I have never knitted. Oh, I should take that back. I think my mom tried to teach me how to crochet when I was 11 or 12. So I did do that. I didn't do it for long. But what do I do now?
You're talking about crying. I'm going to quit watching the evening news because now every night they always close with this gut-wrenching story. Somebody's little puppy swam across the ocean to come back home, and I'm crying at the end of the news. I was like, gosh, this is discouraging.
Well, that's how it's always been. The news is normally bad, and then they try to, and now we'll touch your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they do.
Yeah. But since they touched your heart, again, I think that's a great sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's to crying and puppies.
Okay.
Awesome. I told you we keep this short. Steve was a little concerned. You're not a professional speaker. You're not here to present and push something. But again, I want to thank your courage, your willingness to be seen, even without a camera, your willingness to be heard, let's just say, and sharing as much of yourself as you did tonight. And I hope you I encourage you to get more active in all the men's groups that you're in, because you do have a lot to add.
Okay.
Right? Well, get a lot of wisdom. You've seen and experienced a lot of stuff, and it's you've got a powerful story. So I can see you sharing that more and on a wider basis of your personal journey.
Okay. Well, thanks for being an easy moderator. I was really concerned about how this was going to go, and I thought I'm not really quick on my feet. Andy's gonna eat my lunch here while we're done. So I appreciate your
there was
gentleness to talk to.
Yeah. Again, this is a safe space. That's my goal for the show. That's my goal for the group. And being safe doesn't mean you have to agree with everything Andy says. Right? So
or post.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean. So I will banish the try guys to keep you in the group.
Okay. I'll stay in.
All right. And again, thanks for your sharing tonight. I really honor you as a man, as a human being, for your open heart, for your softness, for all that you are.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Again, it's my pleasure. If you would like to join the private Real Men Feel Facebook group and see what else happens behind the scenes, you can do that. Visit realmenfeel.org for all the links, for all the past shows, future shows, information on how to join us in our Facebook group, where sometimes a lot of sharing goes on, and we don't always turn it into a show. So if you're out in the group, feel free to keep speaking up and commenting. I won't make you come on the show. But again, thanks everyone for joining us. Leave a review, give us some feedback, tell us what you like, what you don't like. I'd like to hear it all. I really do. And we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Real Men Feel. Until next week, visit realmenfeel.org or the Real Men Feel Facebook group and share what you thought of this episode. Please give this podcast a review on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you are discovering Real Men Feel. Reach out to us at realmenfeel@gmail.com. Show us some love by visiting realmenfeel.org/swag or digitaltipjar.com/realmenfeel. Learn more about Andy Grant at theandygrant.com and Appio Hunter at appiohunter.com.